up, Ron?
How's it going? How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you today?
Good. Good to see your face.
Yeah, right back at you. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah,
I'm
pleasure.
Kevin, and welcome to I Ask No One.
And I thank you for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. My pleasure. Well, I'd like to start off a little cheers right off the top of the bat here with the future
Oh,
of
God.
mine. I'm not going to ask you to do the same thing, but
I got some water with some nothing exciting in it. Just
there you go. Well, cheers. Cheers to the hardest working motherfucker in the business the past few years in pandemic. Right on, man.
Oh, there's a bunch of people working real hard. I was admiring the Chucky doll behind you.
You like my buddy?
I'm a big fan of horror movies.
Are ya?
Going back from 1922 Nosferatu to the most recent stuff.
Okay, all right. You know, last week I had John Bush on from Armored Saint, formerly of Anthrax, and he mentioned The Thing. It was Friday the 13th, and he mentioned The Thing from 1982, and I never saw it before, so I actually watched it that night, and it was really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, that classic era of the late 70s into the early 80s. Yeah. There were so many just, you know, that's when a lot of the good horror movies just, I mean, there was a ton in the 70s, you know, you had I Spit on Your Grave and you had, you know, all kinds of stuff. I Dismember Mama. I mean, there's so many obscure ones and this incredible stuff. But I guess it was around the late 70s when you started getting one for every single holiday. You know, it's like Thanksgiving, you know.
Yeah.
Don't right. You know, like whatever it is, like just anything, Mother's Day. And but that's when all the good what's the word, you know, series of them really started.
Is there one that stands out to you that you love the most or you can't stop watching?
Oh, there's a ton, and I never stop from the most gory, you know, Skrpski Serbian film to, oh, if you haven't seen that one, it'll mess you up. Yeah, must see it. It's around 2010, a Serbian film, it's called. Really messed up. Yeah, you know, I love a lot of the remakes are really good too, that have been happening in the past decade. Yeah. But one that stood out was from around 1981 called The Fun House.
Never saw that one, actually. All right.
It was a classic from that time period. I snuck into the movie theater. I was 11 years old to see it, and it messed me up. Yeah, that one got me.
And it's still messing you up, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm permanently messed up by that movie.
Yeah, for me, that was The Sixth Sense in '99. I'm still recovering from those midnight bathroom breaks, you know?
My God, that was a good one.
It was.
Real nice twist.
Right here, right now, we have Ron Bumblefoot Stahl of Sons of Apollo and Asia, lead guitarist, virtuoso. I am honored. This is great. And I like to start off the top of every episode with a musical fact of the day. And wow, you are a fan of music, and I'm sure you're a fan of While My Guitar Gently Weeps, the Beatles song. So George Harrison, he entered the studio at Abbey Road today, August the 16th, 1968, to convert that song from acoustic to electric. And I really liked your vocal performance that you did during the pandemic with some of your buds of a song called Because off of Abbey Road. Really, really liked that one.
Cool, thank you.
Prince performed While My Guitar Gently Weeps at his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Did you see that performance? What did you think of Prince?
Hell yeah. Oh man, so good. Yeah, just undeniable. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hell of a guitarist, right? I mean, I didn't know he ripped like that until I saw that. Damn.
Oh yeah. He, like, every single aspect of what he did was just full of so much just passion, conviction, just authenticity, everything. Like he was the real deal in every possible way, that guy.
Yeah, he truly was. R.I.P. Prince. And I worked at Hotel Bel Air at Wolfgang Puck in LA, and I got to meet George Harrison's son, Danny, and he said that was the coolest night of his life, was on stage with Prince and those guys. So but right here again, Ron Bumblefoot Stahl. In 2020, Prague Magazine rated you the in top 10 best guitarists in 2020, which is pretty damn cool. So when I think of Prog Magazine, you're a wizard on the guitar, and so is Mikael Åkerfeldt. Mikael Åkerfeldt, what's your take on his playing in Opeth? Are you familiar with it at all?
Opeth, yeah, Opeth and Cynic and all the old, yeah. He was one of the original real prog metal guys. Like they were, I say were past tense, I mean, still, yeah, that was really a big, like, Opeth was a springboard for a lot of the prog metal to come after that.
Yeah, yeah.
They had plenty of great players coming in and out of that camp too.
Right, right. And they've really set up their lineup, their current lineup, and they've really gotten to that proggy kind of vibe compared to the death metal of the early days. So have you listened to any of their later records, the more recent records, Sorceress or In Cauda Venenum or anything like that?
Probably. I listen to so much stuff and I try to keep up on things.
All right.
But my brain is like, I'm better at remembering things from 40 years ago than I am from 10 minutes ago. So I think I'm just getting to that age, you know?
Well, it was about 10 years ago that you played in a band called Art of
Anarchy.
Yeah. Anarchy. I just said a mind fuck there. But you worked with Scott Weiland, formerly of Stone Temple Pilots. How did that come to be? How did you get connected with Scott, and what was some of your favorite moments from that collaboration?
Well, that was an interesting, turbulent band. You know, it started off, it was just two old friends of mine that I knew since they were teenagers. And I would always produce their recordings back in the 90s and throughout. And they wanted to just make the album they always wanted to make. And they hit me up, they said, we wrote 10 songs and just drums and guitar, the two brothers, one's drummer, the other's a guitarist. And we just want to make our dream album. It's like, yeah, come on in. So brought him into the studio. In fact, that's his drum set still here, right there.
Oh.
And recorded. And the idea was they were going to have different singers on different songs. And we started reaching out to people. And Scott Weiland was the first person to say, yeah, I'll do a song. And he did the song Until the Dust Is Gone. And he did such an amazing job. The thing about him is he can take any kind of music and whatever you can imagine for that song, he will come up with something that surpassed anything you would have thought of and takes it to a whole other place. Like, I never imagined that would be the chorus, and this would be the verse, and then it would do that kind of melody. And it's just such a great surprise the way he would approach these songs. So he did one song, and then it was actually his people that said, hey, let's make this a band. They suggested, why don't we make this a complete band, not just, you know, what you guys were intending. And that's what it became. And he banged out the album in a month. He took every song, just did whatever he wanted, and whatever he did, they would send the tracks to me and I would put them in and say, great. And yeah, like there wasn't, I mean, he's on the West Coast, I'm on the East Coast. And at the time, you know, I was still in Guns and he was, you know, prepping for Blaster, his album, and
Wild About.
Yeah. So, you know, we spoke sometimes on the phone. We did the videos and the photo shoot and talked there, but we weren't close or anything. We always, you know, had good conversations when we did have a conversation, and I genuinely liked the guy, and it was devastating to see how everything ended up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean just the band, I mean just he's not here and he should be.
Right. Yes. And R.I.P. Scott Weiland, Till the Dust Is Gone. I love that song, man. I love the record. Time every time, and small whiskey, and you're playing on that. And the video of you just kind of doing your guitar thing that you do is just very memorable. So when you were kind enough to agree to come on, as the first thing that came to mind was your collaboration with them, cool. Including John Moyer of Disturbed.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
Really good bassist, right?
Yeah. And just he's a great bassist and a great dude. Yeah.
Right. I've seen them all around the continent. Love them, Disturbed. And Scott Stapp. Scott Stapp was with you on that second record. Some pretty fun songs on that one. How was any similarities that you had or differences that you had from Scott Weiland to Scott Stapp?
Oh yeah, two different people with two different ways of doing things, and you can hear it in the music. You know, each one. You know, if every member is being genuine, you're gonna hear it, and the music is gonna change. You know, I always equate a band to a bowl full of spices or ingredients, and you know, when you take one out and put one in, it changes the whole flavor. You know, you taste it. So that certainly happened from album 1 to album 2.
Yeah. Were there some tracks from those 2 records that stand out to you that you're maybe most proud of with Art of Anarchy?
There's a bunch. What was good about the second album is that, you know, well, the first album, it started off as the 2 guys, John and Vince Voda, that just wanted to make their own album, their own dream album. And the intention originally wasn't a band, but with the second album it was. So the 5 of us were writing together. We were together working on it and building it. And there was one song that I had from when I was about 18 years old that I just never had a place for it. Like, I had the music, I had melodies and everything in my head that I was just kind of keeping until the right time was. And 30 years later, it's like, I think I have a song that would work. And it was the song Won't Let You Down, and ended up on the album. And you never know when the time is for a song. Sometimes it works that way, where you could just write on the spot and it'll be on your album, and there it is. And other times you could have a song that you've just been waiting your whole life for the right moment, where it seems like it's the right group of people to be doing it, and the right time in life and everything, and that's when it's supposed to happen. Yeah. It's weird how that works.
Yeah. It's kind of like what we were talking about earlier in the late 70s, early 80s. There was something in the air, something in the water that these horror movies are just kind of flowing out, including Funhouse, which I gotta
check it out. Yeah, definitely check it out.
Chucky, okay, so we're gonna watch that. All right.
It would be Chucky approved.
Chucky is signed. He's signed by Mastodon and Gojira, my buddies in those bands from 2014. So.
Oh man, that's badass.
He took it like a champ. But then Brent Hinds, the lead guitarist, who is a very formidable guitarist, threw him across the roof of the Fox Theater in Pomona. The red hair that maybe he was like, oh, this, you know, that's funny. But Ron Bumblefoot Stahl right now of Sons of Apollo and Asia, hell of a guitarist. Who influenced your attack on the guitar solo the most over your career?
You know, when I was first playing, it was always just about writing songs and having a band. That's what I wanted. You know, I grew up on bands, and that was my goal, to have a band where everybody contributes and it's a team, and it was all about the songs. So I wasn't that focused on guitar soloing and all that stuff. To me, it was just, you know, a break for the singer. Guitarist takes a solo, and then singer comes back. Sure. And I was really into, at a young age, more of like Angus Young, and I was that kind of player, like a very just hard bluesy, just digging in and almost like a punky bluesy kind of player. And then I heard Eddie Van Halen, and that changed everything. So absolutely, that was the biggest change for me, was hearing him. It made me want to explore who I was even more and dig deep and find my own ways of just making sound that I felt like was just something unique to my own soul. And you find that every guitarist you get into, you know, becomes a building block in your own playing. Steve Vai, Yngwie Malmsteen, it could be anybody, Gary Moore, it could be Charlie Christian from 100 years ago. It could be so many different people that just affect you in some way, and you retain something about it that appeals to you, and then you try and share that same feeling that you got from it with other people in your playing, and it becomes part of it. So every player is a culmination of all their inspirations and influences. Yeah.
You did a hell of a cover of Over the Mountain by Ozzy Osbourne, which of course featured the late, great Randy Rhoads. Did Randy Rhoads just take you to that other direction? You know, you had Eddie Van Halen and then...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, when Blizzard and Diary came out, everybody, it was all about Randy. And I remember at that point, I heard Randy before I heard Eddie. And yeah, I heard Eddie late. I didn't hear him until like 1982.
Okay. Wow.
So it was hearing Randy that made me feel like I got to get a guitar that has a vibrato bar on it so I could do all the dives and everything. And I had to get my first Marshall in a MXR distortion box and wanted to get that sound and that vibe. And used to do tons of covers of Ozzy songs. By the time I was 13, I had this cover band. And half our set was Rush, just old Rush. And the other half was Iron Maiden and old Ozzy. And what else? What else did we do? But it was a ton of Ozzy and Maiden.
Scorpions, Sabbath.
Actually, later, yeah, I did have a band where we did a bunch of Scorpion stuff. I remember doing Another Piece of Meat and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Love old Scorpions, man. That was a guitar duo. That was a team.
Yeah, Michael Schenker.
And I always say was, like as if everyone is past. And, you know, just because, you know what it is? It's because the music was in the past. Like I think back to when in the past I listened to it. So I always refer to it in past tense of
Sure.
Going back in time, but it still is and still will be, great. Yeah.
Damn right. You think back to Scorpions when Michael Schenker was in there, or when UFO had Michael Schenker. He's a guy that gets brought up a lot on I Ask No One, and doesn't get enough credit is the way I see it, you know.
Yeah, and the MSG stuff was so damn cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Nemo.
Yeah. But in my little research, I saw you like Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. I mean, what was talking about the guitar here? Kurt Cobain, the guitarist. How did he hit you in the 90s?
Well, it was probably it was really like the Beatles thing was about the songwriting. I mean, his guitar was, the way to just dig in and dirty it up and just deliver it. That and his voice. But what I loved about Cobain was really the writing, the songwriting. I'm assuming it was intuitive, but he did the same kind of shit that Bach would do as far as mathematically correct and accurate and phrasing things to land on the changing foundation beneath it so that it is always in perfect harmony. Whether it was studied or he just knew, he just heard it. And but he did that. Absolutely. Yes. I could spend the next hour just breaking it down, like all the music theory of it is like, and then he goes to this, which actually, when the music comes up to here and how it meets up and it's part of that chord and it intensifies and amplifies the change that happens here and how, like all that stuff. Yeah, he was a master of that.
It wasn't just a matter of plugging in, bringing it fast and slow, being poppy. There was actually some science to it then, which is really cool to know. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Like if you were going to take the math behind the music of why things work, his stuff all added up. Yeah.
Love him. I got a standing toy in my bedroom right over there, next to. I got a little shrine in there, and for every new subscribe, I make a little donation to the American Foundation Suicide Prevention. I'm on the board. I'm honored to be that. I'm directly affected by it, as a lot of people are in this industry. And, I just want to bring this up while we're kind of talking about this. You were involved in a car accident in 2011, right? And what were some steps you've taken since then to really continue to just wave that flag of rock and roll and persevere and fighting?
Well, that's the whole thing. You got to have a fighting spirit. That's what it is. And when it happened, I was done with guitar playing. I didn't think I was going to be able to play again. I could not raise my arms. I couldn't close my hands. Still have nerve damage in both arms and constant pain and everything. So when it first happened, I was just resigned to it. I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to be a studio producer from here on, and maybe a singer if I can hold the microphone. But I was doing a lot of physical therapy, and I remember like maybe 2 weeks in, and I just felt so defeated and just didn't want to do anything. And then something just kicked in, and I just went into fight mode. And I worked so fucking hard, just nonstop. I would stay there extra hours and just kept just doing everything times 10, and didn't stop, and just pushed to the point that I was even stronger than I was before, and got it all back. And then that was it. Yeah, and then you figure out how to live with it. You know, we're like cars, you know, we're going to get dents, we're going to get bangs, we're going to get our frame, you know, misaligned, and shit happens until the engine finally seizes. But you just figure out how to keep running.
Yep.
And that's all. And you don't worry about that. You know, I think what you learn most of all is that the biggest enemy is self-pity, feeling sorry for yourself. That is your greatest enemy, is that little voice that says, woe is me. Fuck that shit. No, you gotta just, you know, if you start doing that, just smack yourself in the face until you stop. Because that's the stuff where you feel like you're a victim of something. No, you are not a victim of a damn thing. Whatever happens to you happened because you needed to learn something, and it was supposed to happen. And it is an opportunity for you to use that to take what you learned from it and to become stronger, and to make other people better from it, teach other people what you learned the hard way. That's what you got to do. And in the end, if you do it right and you toughen up, you're going to be even better than you were before that. Yeah.
Yes. And you could use those experiences and to grow from those experiences. Thank you for sharing. You know, it's a really powerful thing. And I think a lot of people could benefit from what was just said by Ron Bumblefoot Stahl. And there's no stigma. Boy, there's no stigma here, not on this podcast. And with Chris Cornell, you know, we're talking about mental health. Chris Cornell, we got pictures of him in our bedroom. And you covered a song, "The Day I Tried to Live," which I knew you were a singer, but man, I'll tell you, I listened to that song. You got a great fucking voice, man. Any reason why you chose that song in particular by Soundgarden?
It was one of my favorites. I mean, I have a ton of favorites. I loved them since I first heard them way back in the very beginning. Yeah, always a huge fan of Cornell, including the Euphoria solo stuff and everything. But yeah, that song, just always loved that song. And it just touched me enough that I felt like I needed to just kind of put it back out. Bad timing maybe, because the Seven Dust guys did it at the same time, and I didn't know. They put out a phenomenal version of it. I mean, mine is an acoustic version. Theirs is like the full, you know, kick-ass version. Right. And they did such a great version of it. Like, you know, they did it their way, and fantastic. Yeah, there's some cool dudes. Yeah, Seven Dust guys. Yeah.
I'm gonna put a link below to your performance of it, and you got to see it. It's really great.
Thank you. Thanks. But yeah, definitely. And I have, you know, I don't keep it a secret. I have battled suicidal depression my whole life. Yeah, so I know how it feels. I know what it is. And when someone needs to be talked off the ledge, I'm not just giving them lip service. So yeah. So that song definitely, yeah. That just felt like the one. I mean, there's a million. I could have done Bulldozers or so many. I mean, I really love every album.
It's the most fortunate thing. He's got a beautiful piece of work that he left behind, like you mentioned, with the solo work and Audio Slave and Soundgarden. just while we're talking about it, I mean, I was diagnosed with depression in 2016, and there's certain steps that I've taken over the years and decisions I've made to, you know, slowly get out of those woods. And I think I've reached that, you know, recently engaged. I'm kicking some ass in real estate. You know, I'm getting to connect with some of my heroes here on this podcast, which is cool. Fucking badass. But, you know, I was just driving in the gym this morning, and all of a sudden there's something that gets in my head and it just starts bringing me down. And I just, exactly what you just said there. I just tell myself, it's weakness. It's weak. Get that shit out of here. Okay, I'm good. It's just weak. So.
Definitely exercise, sleep, eating right. That makes a big difference. You know, you got to take care of all your gut bugs. You know, there's a whole lot of them, and they make a big difference on the amount of serotonin that you produce. So you got to feed them right. We are a planet, and they are the creatures in there. It makes a big difference on mental health. So definitely eating right and taking care of your body is so important for taking care of your brain. But definitely, you just got to retrain your brain on how to react and respond to the things that happen. You know, life happens, shit happens, and it's going to keep on happening. And you just have to give yourself a new way of responding to it. We get into these habits that start from day one, and it's hard to break those habits, but you can. And you just have to keep reinforcing it. And if you do, you get out of it. Yeah.
Yep. Amen. I met Jason Newsted a few years ago. I asked him, Jason, what's your key to happiness? And he told me repel. Read, eat, play, exercise, laugh, love. And that is currently my license plate out there. Nice little reminder every time I walk out to my car to go to work, and really cool stuff.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your dream collaboration? Do you have someone that you haven't worked with yet that you would just love to partner up with?
Is it a live or dead question, or it has to be just live?
Let's go dead or alive, the original question. Yeah.
All right. Dead. George Harrison would be one, but definitely David Bowie.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the guy was just he just oozed art from every pore of his being. Yeah. So definitely Bowie. Live, probably a lot of people say it. I'd say Grohl.
Dave Grohl. Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, because he just seems like the coolest fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everything he does is great.
He's responsible for a lot of the dents that are in this this drum kit. Just the crash. You could crash like this, but you know, you give it. And loved his time in Nirvana. Really big inspiration there. So Dave Grohl. You haven't partnered up with Dave Grohl for a song or anything like that yet?
Never have. We haven't crossed paths.
Okay. No. Hopefully sometime soon. Just to switch gears here, there's a TV show called Most Extreme Elimination Challenge. All right.
MXC.
Okay. Yeah, MXC, and it was on Spike TV or something back when, but it was a Japanese TV show that. See, I was born and raised on Jackass, and we got the fourth movie coming out. It's gonna be great. I love watching people wipe out and just I love those fail videos. So your song Firebrand was the theme song of MXC. And I never knew that until yesterday, man. And how'd you get hooked up with a Japanese TV show of guys wiping out?
For a good 20 years, I've done a lot of background music for TV shows and some like indie horror movies, a lot of video games. And they came across one of my songs and wanted it to be their theme. It's like, hell yeah. You got it. So I've done that theme. If you know That Metal Show.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The theme song to that is one of my songs.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, a lot of old weird video games and stuff too.
Which video games did you do?
Let's see. There was, if I can even remember them all. The biggest one that I did like the most for, like I would have just a song here and a song here and different ones. Remember there was it Outlaw Volleyball, and there was another racing game, but it was a game from SEGA, back in 1995, 96, weird ass game called Wild Woody. And it was one of the first video games to have actual music on it. Before that, everything was 8-bit, you know, just boop, 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 boop.
Yep.
And yeah, and this was the first game because it was Sega CD. It was one of the first games to have CD quality audio on it. So I had to write 28 songs in 28 days and
really
make for all the different levels and all the different themes of everything going on in this video game. And that was fun and a challenge. It's like, there's no room for getting it wrong. You just have to, yeah.
What was the premise of Wild Woody on Sega? Yeah.
So weird. Somebody was on massive amounts of crack when they came up with it.
Yeah.
It's a pencil that comes to life. And like there's a backstory to it in the intro where it's like these 5 heads of this totem pole that like lightning strikes, and it had to happen on this exact Tuesday, and it did, and they come to life and they start taking over, and then this pencil has to save them and go to the different worlds that they've created, like a pirate world and a cemetery world and a science fiction world and a mythology world. And he draws things and then goes on his button, erases his adversaries, and goes through all these different levels to like level 1, 2, and then boss level where he has to go after the main dude. And it's just a weird, weird game.
Were you told what this game's about before you wrote it, or were you just, oh, you did?
Yeah, and I saw all the builds as they were making the game and getting an idea of what everything was looking like, and would just be busting out music for the different levels and everything, and all the in between. If you lose, if you win, if you know, for each level, and win the game, or the intro music and bonus level and all that stuff. It was a whole lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, if you click the description below to our viewers here, you'll see a link. I'm going to include some of his music from Wild Woody, 1995.
Weird stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, if you're finding any value in what you've seen so far, hit a like, subscribe. I really do appreciate it. Again, we have Bumblefoot here, guitars virtuoso, Ron Paul, love it. So let's see. Sticking with, so Chris Farley or Jim Carrey, who's funnier?
See, Jim Carrey has the longer amount of work, and there were some scenes, Ace Ventura, where he's being birthed that just killed me.
Yeah.
But Farley, you could not. There's no way to not laugh with him. Tommy Boy and
Black Sheep, Ninja.
Bees. I mean, just so. Yeah, I loved the movies. Black Sheep. Yeah. Whitey.
Yep, with Mudhoney there.
Yeah, just hysterical. And he would just push to the extreme so much. The things that he would do. Yeah, incredible.
Yeah. So rolling down the hill, or he's just like, and then he stops. He's just like, ha, 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 and he falls down again, and it's just filled with so. I have a twin brother in Athens.
Yeah. So I might have to go. I think Carrey, his body of work, some of the things that I love is as funny as he was, and the facial stuff, and the living color stuff, and everything. Just Fire Marshal, and I mean, yeah, just so funny. But when he started getting into Truman Show and things that got more serious, he was so damn good. Amazing. Yep. He really, I think. But when it comes to just guttural, spontaneous laughing, might go with Farley.
Yeah, Beverly Hills Ninja. Shout out to that movie with Robin Shue and Almost Heroes, man. Jeez, you've seen Beverly Hills Ninja, I take it.
I've seen everything.
Okay, all right, cool. Well, you played a little Hello Kitty guitar, which I'm going to include a link below. A really kind of a medley of songs that I saw on YouTube. And one of those songs, Rage Against the Machine bomb track on a little Hello Kitty guitar. Hilarious. You've been known, and when I think of you with wearing a guitar, it's the double neck. So why do guitarists play double neck? Oh, hell yeah.
Yes. So why two necks?
Yeah.
Why two necks? Well, the top neck is fretless. So with that, I don't know if I have any sound on. I do. Okay.
Oh.
So bottom neck, you have frets. So all of you who don't play guitar know nothing about guitar, these metal lines. What happens is you press the string down against them and the string only vibrates from that point to the end. And the shorter the string becomes, the higher the note gets. And they're in precise spots so that you're exactly in key. With a fretless neck, you don't have that. So it's like playing a cello or a violin where you just gotta, and you put them in the exact spots. And with this, you can slide around. Like that, you can get all of that going. So it's a different way of playing. You can do things on this that you can't do on this. Just dragging. All that kind of good old draggy stuff. You can drag harmonics when you just ring out one of the division points of a string. And it goes, you can drag them like that. So there's things you can do on a fretless that you can't do on a fretted. And I just started playing fretless more and more since, I think, 98, I got my first one. And it reached a point where I didn't want to have to choose one or the other. And Vigier Guitars, they're the guys that make my wacky guitars. They started making the double neck around 2009. And this way I can play both without having to take off the guitar. I can just do one and the other together. And that's pretty much what I do now for all my bands. Everything that I do, I'm doing that. And sometimes we're in different tunings as well. Yeah, that's why in Sons of Apollo, that's why Billy Sheehan needs to have two basses, or like a double neck bass. Because in one song, this one is tuned to a drop D and this one's tuned to a drop B. And for the phrasing and to physically play the stuff, kind of need the different tunings. So poor guys, like him having to need a double neck as well.
Got any Led Zeppelin in you right now? Maybe a little Stairway or something?
No, his double neck was a 12 string on top. So for that, yeah, and you can certainly play any Zeppelin. Or Stairway, of course. You got that. And with a 12 string, what you have is all the strings are doubled up, where the lower strings, ones lower in pitch, actually have another octave to them. What an octave is when you take a frequency, like the speed that something's vibrating in the air, and you double it. And if you're gonna sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, the two do's are octaves. So when you play a double neck, the open strings, or rather a 12 string, it would sound like this. Your lowest string, and then the higher ones would be too high for a tuned up string, so those are just doubled. And with that, it's shimmery. It feels like two guitars playing at once. Instead of, it sounds like that.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Page has that double neck. I keep saying double neck. He has a double neck, but he's got a 12 string on top. And for a lot of his songs, he uses that. Yeah.
Gotcha. I wanted to show you something while we're talking about Jimmy Page here. This has to get behind glass. And I showed Michael Kelly Smith this of Britney Fox Cinderella, and he kind of freaked. But this is a guitar signed by Jimmy Page and Robert Plant.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not sure what kind it is. I'm a drummer. That's the authenticity certificate, but picked up at an auction years back, and I'm keeping it for my younger brother right now.
That is cool. That's that's royalty right there.
Thanks.
Damn.
Put this right down here. And are you still teaching at SUNY Purchase cross state here from Buffalo, New York?
That's right. You're up in Buffalo. Oh,
yeah.
The time I taught there, I came in for a day. I was teaching like a few days a week, you know, every semester and everything. And then when the touring picked up and everything, then I had to, you know, I couldn't be there every week. So I would just come in on days and just do like a full day with the students. So the last time I did it, I guess, yeah, it was 2019, before, you know, before the pandemic. Yeah.
And you were teaching music production there, I take it?
Music production, and back in the beginning, I was also teaching, you know, like the instrument. I was teaching guitar and everything, some vocals, but mostly it was about studio stuff, music production and the songwriting and just making it happen, you know, getting it to the point where people get to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, just got a little dose of your instructor cap. And what makes you so passionate about teaching, that you've been teaching all these years and putting bands together and jamming?
Well, teaching, it's the most beautiful thing when someone teaches something to you and then you can go and change your life with it. If you can do that for someone else, that's the greatest gift you can give somebody, is that information, that know-how, for them to be able to do whatever they've been dreaming of since they were a kid. If you can help make that happen, show them how to do it, and then see them go and do it, it's the greatest thing. Yeah. So that's what I'm passionate about, is sharing what others taught me. And you never stop. You know, I'm not a teacher, I'm a student. You never stop learning. And all I do is I just let other people know what I've learned. And I just do that as much as I can. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to ask you, while we're talking about the guitar still, well, we're always going to be talking about the guitar with Bumblefoot, but Kirk Hammett of Metallica. I'm a little bit of a Metallica fan. How does he stand out to you? Is it that wah pedal that he's mastered, or what?
Oh, I mean, the big four. You know, there was such a sound that they had, all the guitar players, and of course Kirk, but there was just so much, like, it was like floodgates just open up and they just come like flying out. Like there was nothing reserved. Like it was almost like you could barely contain the energy in the playing, the way they would play. So yeah, Kirk definitely had that. But besides that, coming up with classic solos that everybody wants to learn. I mean, when you make a solo that for decades people want to know how to play that, then you've done something legendary, and he's done that over and over. Yeah.
How about James Hetfield?
Same. Yeah, with his rhythms, but I mean, his voice, just the at the end, like the sound of his voice and the way he went on to influence, you know, metal from there on. Absolutely. Yeah. You can name any metal band since them, and every single one will say, yes, Metallica was an influence. I don't know a single fucking metal band that wouldn't say that. Not one.
They have their 40th anniversary this year. It's the 30th anniversary of the Black Album. You ever see Metallica live, Ron?
I have. And I got to jam with Lars and hang out with him.
No shit.
Yeah.
Where was that?
He came up and played a song with Guns one time. And so we rehearsed and he joined us on stage. We got to play together. And it's amazing how his attack, the way he plays, you don't realize how much the drummer really controls the band. The drummer beyond just being, they say the drummer is the foundation, but truly the boss, and is so integral to the sound of that band. When he was playing with us, I was listening, I was like, we sound a little bit like Metallica. Like, even though it's just, us playing, like we're playing and it's a Guns N' Roses song, but with him, or just with his, like the way he hits, and just also it has subtle things that drummers have, how much they lag on the snare, or how much they don't, and certain things about it, the angle of the stick and the kind of crack it gives it, that gives them their identity, the personality, and how much of a strong identity that is to the music. So much we focus on, it's like a pyramid, like we go to the top of the pyramid, there's the singer singing, and we notice that, we focus on that, and then maybe guitar's down from that, and the bass is down from that, and the drums are down from that, but it's the base of that pyramid is the most vital part. And if that's no good, you can't build shit on it. That, I always say, the drummer is the boss. And that's for shit sure. And I felt it when we were playing with Lars. He was so evident in the sound. And it's just, yeah. And I noticed, I was just laughing. I was like, holy shit. Like, he is just, yeah. And like, you realize it so much.
What song are you guys
playing? He's just a really cool guy. He's just such a nice fucking guy. I really had, the conversations I've had with him, always just good, deep and real.
Was it, art, film, any advice that he's maybe given you about touring or being in this crazy ass industry? He
did, yeah. One time he was telling me just about just personal stuff, like after all the years, what everyone connects on, because it's something different than it was, decades before. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'm not going to say what he said. That's for him to say.
Oh, sure.
But it definitely, it was, just good stuff to think about.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy.
He definitely is. He's only ever been in one band, and that's Metallica, and they got the Metallica podcast coming out soon, which I'll include a link below to that. But with what song was that? Were you guys playing on stage with Lars? I'm curious.
I think, was it You Could Be Mine? I think it was.
You Could Be Mine?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it was You Could Be Mine. And when he was playing, like once we kicked into the song and we're playing the riff, and just the way he was digging in and the way he plays like him, I was like, holy shit. Like, you can taste the Metallica in that moment. And I was like, that's so badass.
Did you have to just bring that more into your strings with that weight that he was bringing?
He just was just like this pounding stone, this rock, just like, and it was just so fucking cool.
Oh,
yeah, I loved it. I was like lost in it, just listening to it, forgetting where I was. I was like, that is so damn cool, just hearing him in that. And it was really cool. Yeah.
He's such a short Danish person to bring that weight. And he was quoted making the Black Album, "If you want weight, I'm your fucking guy." That's something that you really get.
Regardless of what the show is like, his spirit is fucking huge. Yeah.
Yes, he is. While we're on the topic of drummers, Sons of Apollo is your current fucking badass prog band, and Mike Portnoy. I learned about him in Sevenfold in the Nightmare record, but how the hell is working with Mike compared to maybe the other drummers that you've worked with?
He can play. Yeah.
He can.
Yeah. Portnoy is a legendary dude. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're kind of close in age and grew up on a lot of the same music, and I could hear it in the way he plays. I can hear a lot of the influences, and it's cool. I can hear, it's like, oh wow, that reminds me of something like Neil would have done on the Riot, ding 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 ding, or whatever it is, and just, yeah, it's fucking great. Yeah, when he's behind the kit, it's him. And absolutely, yeah, killer drummer. Yeah, there's a reason why he's on all the magazine covers and still wins all the polls. Yeah.
Yep. there's a record that Sons of Apollo dropped in 2020 towards the end of the year there. And by the way, I just think it's so cool that you're one of the bands that released a record during the pandemic to help us tie us over, and great decision there.
Actually, sorry to contradict, but we put it out right before the pandemic.
And January 2020, right?
Yeah,
it was January.
Yeah. But we were planning to tour throughout 2020, and we were on the road. We were one of the first bands to pull the plug, and everyone was like, "We're gonna sue you. There's no problem here. There's no cases here." And a week later, every country was shut down, and yeah, it was us and I think Megadeth and Death Angel and Testament that were all on the road in February. And Megadeth made it out okay. Testament and Death Angel not so lucky. They had some cases in the camp. But I remember like we were, I think we were in Germany, and some of our guys were talking to the Testament guys, and they were stuck in Paris. And just as like everything was like the shit was hitting the fan, and we were just all like all the bands were trying to figure out like how far can we take this before we have to get out. And our amazing tour manager, who is accepts tour manager or front of house guy for years, and he took great care of us, and he was doing front of house and tour managing during a pandemic, which means after every show he's canceling plane tickets and booking new plane tickets for a dozen people out of a different country and figuring out like where we're going to get out before everything shuts down. And he had his hands full, and I commend him. He was really something else. And we managed to get 4 shows out of 20, and we had to fly out of Norway. And a week later, the world was shut down. Yeah.
It was wild. Yeah, the very last concert I saw, I think it was February 28th with my twin brother in Helsinki, Finland, in Scandinavia. It was Lindemann, and just had Peter on. So if you're interested in that, check out that. But wow, man. And you and Jennifer are doing well? You and your family there? And
we're good. Yeah. Yep. Good. Doing all right. We're so far so good.
You're in New York right now as well?
Jersey. New Jersey. Yeah. Jersey.
Where in Jersey?
What road? What exit? That was it. What exit? That was the old Saturday Night Live thing. So I'm in Central Jersey actually my studio here is in Princeton, like the north end of Princeton. That's where I've been spending most of my time every day since this pandemic, just doing a lot of recording, a lot of writing, guest solos, getting back to doing online teaching, which I really missed. Yeah. And just being creative again, being more creative.
Yes, you've really kept busy with a bunch of different things, and you'll see what Ron's been up to this past year, 2 years. We're nearing the end here. Had to bring up your hot sauce. You got a hot sauce, man. So
hot sauce.
Yeah,
hot sauce.
It's pretty fucking metal. But you've been so generous with these foundations over the years, such as the MS Research Foundation, the Wildlife Trust of India, Operation Smile, which I've actually never heard of. Operation Smile. I really like their mission. You know,
there's something very special. Yeah.
Yep. And the proceeds from your hot sauce go to the women's health organizations. I think that's just so badass, man. So why hot sauce? You're a connoisseur.
It started off they were all right. Here's a long story of it. Okay. So I was about 12 years old, and my older cousin Stevie dared me to eat a hot pepper, and I ate it and I liked it. And since then, I just love putting hot peppers on things, and I started getting into hot sauce, and people knew I liked hot sauce. So I was like, happy birthday. And they'd get me some weird, Dave's Insanity collection of like the hottest sauces and Blair's Death sauce, and just like hotter and hotter. And people knew I loved it. And it reaches a point, just like music, where you get so into it, and it's like, damn, I want to make this stuff too. And same way, like, I noticed that people that are into metal, especially, are into hot sauce and making hot sauce. And I thought about it, like psychologically, what is it about the two things that make you want to do that? Like, what is it about metal that makes you want to play become a musician, a metal musician, and play metal. And it's because there is no music that is as intense, that gets you as riled up, that makes you want to smash people in the fucking face with your elbows the way metal does. And it just it moves you, and it has everything. Besides that intensity, it's not dumb music. It is some of the smartest shit. It gets into all kinds of real stuff. It talks about history. It talks about, I mean, everything. You want to learn world history? Get a couple of Iron Maiden albums.
Yeah. Power Slave, Number of the Beast, and Call It a Night.
There you go.
Right.
So now hot sauce, what is it about that? Well, there is no food that could be as sweet, as salty, as bitter, as savory, as sour as anything, as something is hot, spicy to the point that you will be screaming, running around the room for a half hour, eating ice cream and yogurt, whatever you can, trying to calm it down, and you can't. And that fucks you up. That is that intense, the way hot sauce does. So for people that want to give other people the most intense experience with music, they want to do the same thing with food. So that is why you got Eddie Ojeda and Chris Caffery and all these different, metal guitar players that get into hot sauce and are as passionate about that and love making hot sauce and sharing hot sauce, because we love giving people the most intense experience, whether it's music or food or whatever we do. That's what it is. I've given this some thought.
Well, you have a sauce there that really jumped out at me. It was it's called Bumblefucked, and it's got the ingredients: ginger, tropical fruit, ginseng, and caffeine. I mean,
and pain.
And pain.
Pain. Those are the only other ingredients, and the rest of it is just pain. Yeah. So that is like the people that make the show Hot Ones. They did a blog and they said that Bumblefucked was the third hottest sauce in the world.
No way, really?
Yeah. And now one thing, so when I started making hot sauce, I hooked up with this great company called K-Johns. And I was working with them, and they were the experts that really made it happen. They did the manufacturing, the distribution, and all of that, and working with them in the kitchen and their ideas and their recipes for some of the sauces and everything. So originally I had a line of 6 sauces. One of them was chipotle and chocolate, and that was called Bumble Babe because the ladies like chocolate. So it's called Bumble Babe, and that's the one where I was taking proceeds that were to be donated towards women's health organizations and things. And from there, I did end up trimming down the line to just the 3 bestsellers, which are the only ones I have now. So I'm not being quite as charitable, shame on me, but there's Bumblefucked, and that's the hottest one. There's Bumblelicious, which is cherry, chipotle, and bourbon. And it's like a barbecue-y kind of sauce. And that one is not like, it doesn't kill anybody. It's mild, and I've seen people drink it because they really like the taste of it. So it's not over the top heat. And then the other one is just called the sauce. And that one is just like a straight up, just red sauce, mild, but with a lot of herbs in it. I wanted a sauce that could go with everything that I like to eat. So it goes with Italian food. It has a lot of Mediterranean herbs that work with that. It's got stuff that makes it work with Mexican food and Lebanese and Turkish and Greek and Thai and Korean and Chinese and anything. You put on your eggs in the morning, it goes with everything. The funny thing about that one is I was on the road with Asia. We were doing that tour in 2019. And I wanted, originally the sauce, I had sauces called Normal and Abnormal, named after my solo albums, Normal and Abnormal, where although Normal was more of a mild sauce and Abnormal was kind of hot and weird. And I wanted a new name for this normal sauce that I was going to keep and put out there as just this straight up red sauce. And I was trying to come up with all these different names. And the son of Arthur Brown, you know who Arthur Brown is?
I do not, no.
Cool. Okay, Arthur Brown was the first guy to do theatrical rock and paint his face up. And he had a helmet that fire shot out of the top. And he had the song in the late 60s called Fire. That was the first song of its kind to really be like a radio hit. And it started off where you just hear this voice say, "I am the god of hellfire, and I bring you," and then it kicks into this like 60s song, "Fire, ba, 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 I take you to burn," ba, ba, ba. And he's like hitting all these high notes. And he was the guy that inspired Alice Cooper and Bowie and Kiss and all these people. He was the first one to wear makeup. Wow. In a way, he was like the predecessor to theatrical rock and metal.
Huh.
Yeah, he was like King Diamond before King Diamond. Yeah. And his name was Arthur Brown. And his drummer in his band was this teenage kid named Carl Palmer. Carl Palmer, who went on to be Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Asia. So when we were doing this tour, the opening act, or the very start of the whole night was Carl Palmer with his solo band doing the music of ELP. And Arthur Brown would come out and they would do a bunch of Arthur Brown songs as well. So and he's great. This guy is such a cool dude, such a nice guy, and still painting up his face and 77 and still kicking in the air and
oh shit.
Yeah, real badass. And just a great guy. We spent a lot of time driving around together and hanging out. Sweetheart of a guy. And his son came to a bunch of shows. So I remember backstage and I was just racking my brain. I was all stressed out. Like I don't know what to call. I got to get this stuff out. It's time. I got to like start manufacturing and I still don't have the name for this sauce. And he just looks at me. He's like, "Why don't you just call it the sauce? Like the sauce." And I was looking at him like, "All right, I'm doing it." So that was it. That was like done. Not thinking about it anymore. The sauce. So that one is called the sauce. And it was Arthur Brown's son that named it. Yeah.
The sauce. All right. I gotta buy all three, and so do you. I'm gonna include a link below to some of that badass sauce, including Bumblefucked. I like the t-shirt that you have. It says, "I got Bumblefucked." And
the guy with his eyes bulging out and the bomb in his head and everything.
Yeah. I had this minimum.
There it is, yeah.
Maybe if I don't know. There you go. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
Nice.
You ever had wings in Buffalo, New York before?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I've had pizza, I've had wings. What is the place that like the well-known place that supposedly came up with buffalo wings?
Sure. Well, there's a place called the Anchor Bar
that's it.
Is the most famous, and man, I've been there once in my life. But there's these other mom and pop joints around. So next time you come through Western New York or Buffalo, New York, Sons of Apollo or not, one, would love to meet you in person, and two, get you some really spicy ass wings. I think we could maybe.
Definitely, I'm in. I am so in. Yeah, I'm sure the best places are probably all the mom and pops. That's where you find some of the best shit. And I've spent a lot of time up there, and between Buffalo, Rochester, and Niagara Falls. Between from trying to think of everyone, David Ellefson with Talus, with Billy Sheehan. Sons, our first tour, we did a show up there. Was it, trying to remember the day, was it February 16th, 2018?
Town Ballroom? Was it Town Ballroom? Okay.
Town Ballroom, yeah. And stuff for the Rochester Hall of Fame. I've played up there, and yeah, y'all got some damn good food.
Oh yeah, man. Any chance we get to champion Buffalo, New York, it's one of the most underrated food towns, not only in the country but in the world, and especially Italian steaks, burgers, wings, of course. And maybe we'll see you on Hot Ones someday on that YouTube channel.
Oh, I wish. That would be a blast. My God.
Yeah. Shout out to Hot Ones. Get Bumblefoot on there. Get Bumblefucked. So last question, three songs that give you the most, three metal songs that give you the most goosebumps.
I could give you 300 songs. Three. There are so many, and I'm an old school guy too. So I'm going to say TNT, As Far As the Eye Can See. I don't know if you know that song.
I thought you were going to go AC/DC TNT, but
no.
That. Okay.
No, the band TNT Norwegian band with an American singer, a guy named Tony Harnell is a singer, one of the greatest voices in rock and metal. Incredible. And most beautiful voice you will hear. That one. When I hear him sing, I get goosebumps. So I'm picking that one as one. I gotta go Queensryche. I'm definitely a fan of the high singers, but not the usual thing. I'm going with, this was one of my favorites actually, New Rigel from Rage for Order.
That's another song I've never heard before.
Yeah, just great melodies and like he's holding during the chorus and another melody comes in here and then like just so much going on. It's great stuff. And that album was so ahead of its time, sonically, sound-wise. The sounds that they were making haven't been heard yet, and people were not doing that yet. Like if you go back and listen to that album with a good set of headphones and really just focus on everything you're hearing, it's amazing what they did. The Warning was on its way, and Mindcrime was definitely there. But this album was just so ahead of its time. Yeah, and incredible songs from start to finish. Not a dud.
What was the name of the band again?
Queensryche.
Oh, it's Queensryche. In the song, which record was that?
Rage for Order. Yeah.
Okay, 90s? Probably 90s, right?
Early 80s. Yeah, I think it was 84, was it? I think. Could be wrong.
Check that one out. And what would be number 3?
All right. Part of me wants to say 5 Minutes Alone from Pantera, not your typical Goosebumps, but just the groove but another part of me wants to say like Manowar, Gates of Valhalla, just the changing keys and Valhalla, it goes up, it's me. And just I'm a huge fan of Eric Adams. I love his voice, always did. And a big Manowar fan. Yeah. But I think I got to go super classic. And I am going to go, we're talking super old now, early Judas Priest. It's kind of a twofer. Dreamer Deceiver, which leads right into Deceiver. I don't know if you know it. It starts off acoustic.
Oh, okay.
Was it Sad Wings or was it Rock and Roll? No, Sad Wings. Yeah, it was Sad Wings.
Sad Wings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It was actually the end of Sad Wings. The last 2 songs, I think, on side 1, and wasn't Domination the end of side 2? Island of Domination. But yeah. So it starts off with the acoustic, like standing by my window. Yeah, and then just builds, and then the beat kicks in. We follow the dream, and then it just keeps building and goes through a long ass, slow, taking its time verse, and then next level kicks in, and then when it all really kicks in, he's just he's like doing that, and then as long as guitar solo, he's just feeling it, and it ends with this beautiful melody. It just keeps going through this morphing of the part, like just with a new melody and a new intensity to it. And then with the high vocals over it, he's holding with the guitar in unison, just and then just finishes with that highest note, and instead of it being minor, it's like major. And you hear this piano, because on that album, Tipton was playing piano. He's doing, old man sitting there, ooh, and he's old piano stuff. So at the end of it, you hear this piano just arpeggiating, doing all this like, and while he's holding everything. And what was it going to into Deceiver. Now I'm getting mixed up, and I have Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah. That's right. Yeah, down to myself for a second. In the solar winds of the morning, you come. I don't remember the words. Controlling. All is lost. You can toss that would cost forever. Yeah, and just the way it like goes to the end. If you're gonna fall down, you can go away. It's at the end where he's like way up there. He's like, I can't say what's true today. Wait your day forever. And it's just cuts back to the beginning with the acoustic. And just fading off doing that, like it is just fucking magnificent. So that is my Goosebumps song, the twofer of Dreamer Deceiver into Deceiver.
Yeah, apparently very Goosebumps worthy. And you and Dave Ellefson, you guys covered Free Wheel Burning.
Yeah.
That was very, very killer. I mean, Tipton and Downing, they did something special there, right?
So many songs. Like another one with just the guitar harmonies, just beautiful stuff. So many songs from the older stuff to the newer stuff. That's one thing that I'm so glad that as a band, keeping the guitar harmonies. Yeah, that's really a vital thing in who they are musically. And
that twin guitar attack, the same thing, the Thin Lizzy, and that really influenced Metallica to this day. You know, it's Scorpions
and just the greatest. They had just like the greatest melodies on guitar. They were almost classical stuff. You know, it was like. And if you think about it, like it's very much, if you just change the instrumentation, take out the it's like classical composition, a lot of their stuff. You know, it's like that should be like a crying violin doing that with an orchestra.
Yeah,
like their guitar melodies were just beautiful compositions. So much, yeah. Yes. So those are my three Goosebump metal songs.
I really enjoyed asking that question recently to some of my guests, and it's really interesting to hear what they say. And you get my heart going, man, and really cool that you're playing. Any chance that guest gets to play and use their craft on the show, it's really, really special. And you know, you have a career full of those badass fucking compositions. And if someone is maybe unfamiliar with your work, maybe one or two songs they could start or a record, which one would you recommend to check out your style?
Well, if they want more proggy stuff, I would say, you know, Sons of Apollo, because, you know, I'm definitely did a lot of writing in that.
Goodbye Divinity. Goodbye Divinity. That's some heaviness right there, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And if they want something maybe more melodic, I would say check out the Little Brother Is Watching album. That one.
All right. I'm gonna blast that here soon. I'm gonna clean up the house a little bit, and then. But man, it was an honor, and thank you so much. It really shows a lot of character that you have, and taking the time to do this with me. And
no, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and great questions and insights, and yeah, it's really cool hanging and chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks, brother. And we just saw Guns N' Roses in Hershey Park. They performed some of the songs that you played on Chinese Democracy, and I just gotta say, there's a reason why they performed some of those songs of Chinese Democracy to this day on their globe-trotting stadium tours, because you're timeless, and the songs that you did with the band, fucking awesome. So,
well, I'm grateful that they had me on.
yes. All the very best to you and Jennifer, and to our viewers. If you dug what you saw, like, subscribe, appreciate it. But stay happy, stay healthy, stay hungry, and stay healthy.
Nice.
See you, Ron.
Take care, man. You have a great one.
You too, man. Later.
Bye-bye.